Well, how about that? We kind of started on time. So, well, I don't think I can hear you, Linda. You've gone quiet. There you go.
I turned off my microphone because I've got this damn fly buzzing around my head.
Right.
Just for other people around the world to know what it's like here in Australia, it's 26.5 Celsius.
Aha.
So it's nearly 27 Celsius, and it's 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So it's a bit warm, it's a bit humid, and flies are everywhere. You open your door and 10 flies swoop in. So I've got a fly in here with me because I've got my big light on. If I do this, you can see my big light. So there's a fly hanging around me tonight, Mike. But it's good because I'm never alone, you know?
No. Well, I
love it.
I'm just still trying to load up the show on your page. I've done it once and nothing seems to be happening. Maybe it's the consequence of me being a naughty boy. For those of you who don't know, I'm in the penalty box at the moment on Facebook.
Oh, darling. Well, it's all good. Do you want me to just go in and just tag your group for us?
Yeah, you do that.
Okay, hang on.
I think you're...
I can't share it, so I'll go into my group. Okay.
Well, anyway, in the meantime, while you're doing that, let me tell you what's going on in the show today. Caterina's got her new segment with some bizarre celebrity incidents involving automobile accidents. I think that's the one that we got this week, or maybe that was last week. It's been such a week, I don't know anything anymore. But then we got some nice videos about the door ghost. And it would make you consider, what would you do if this was happening in your house? I can see we're actually on your page there, Linda, so I'm going to get rid of that screen.
We are?
Yeah.
We are in Dr. Linda Kramer Paranormal?
There you go.
It is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
good man. There it is. We are here. Yay!
Just to continue on this, after the door ghost, we got the heavy metal ghost. And I was talking to Caterina about this because she used to be a journalist, and she used to interview a lot of people and went to a lot of metal concerts, and this freaked her out a little bit. But anyway, then we got the NDE of John Davis, a fascinating NDE. I'll tell you more about that as we get to it. The Healing Angel, a fabulous, almost spontaneous remission, and the work of Lisa Bousson. So
yeehaw. It's going to be a good show like usual, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I don't say it often enough, Mike. I really appreciate the time and the effort that you put in, because I know there's no dollars in it for you.
No.
You know, this is, you know, it would take hours for you to search out these every week, to edit them down into segments that we can view. So, you know, I want you to know how appreciative I am for the work that you do behind the scenes, you know. You can get a little bit of an ego boost because, hello, you deserve it. Okay?
Well,
you know, and I love how you're in red. I'm in red again because it was Valentine's Day.
Yeah, well, this is my actual table tipping shirt, and I wore it yesterday for about 20 minutes to do table tipping. And I'm going to put that up on... no, I'm not going to put it up. At the moment, we can't put it up. It's in a little group I've got in... because... you know, we're getting on very dodgy ground with some of the things we're saying. But there's a couple of you guys out in Australia who I sent the link to, and I'll send the link again to this one because it's on a private page at YouTube. But I would say if you watch it, please don't share this, because there's very sensitive information in there, even though I've not named names. But
and, you know, anyone that does watch this through the week, please know that that's one reason why we don't do live readings on air, because we don't know what private information will come out, you know, and we don't know who knows who.
Yeah.
You know, we get 3 people watching it and we're talking about something, and then we get this comment, oh, I'm their sister, you know, oops. So, you know, we've got to protect privacy. We've got to protect confidentiality with our shows. And that's why we don't, you know, contact Mike or contact me if you do want a reading. You know, we're both mediums. We both do our own skill set, you know. So yeah, some things do need to be kept in private, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The
I
stuff that
understand
was
that,
on
Mike.
the in the table tipping session is not so much personal, private, but can get me into very deep water with so-called authority. But anyway,
Yeah.
what was I going to say? Just to give people the heads up, I've been a naughty boy. I'm not completely banned on Facebook, Medium Mike Cavalli page, but it seems my heinous crimes of continuous copyright censorship. I mean, there's no consideration. It's guilty until proven innocent, even though the stuff I'm using does have a share button, and I put it in the
Yes.
show. So I've been looking at getting my own server so that we can do this away from Facebook, and I'll just announce it on
Yeah.
Facebook, and people can come to the website. They don't have to log in. They can still comment, but I've got to get away from this tyranny. And this is one
Of
of
course,
the
Mike.
things that
You know,
tyrants do. They turn their oppression into the victim. They turn it upside down. So
yeah.
and you know, we've been getting approaching 2,000 hits on the show within about 4 days.
Yeah.
Then banning me on Medium Mike Cavalli
Well,
drastically reduces
you
who we
know,
reach.
can I just go there, Mike? You know, because we do talk conspiracies and stuff. You know, first off, I just want to do a little disclaimer. I don't say what political party I go for. You know, that's private. Unless you're a friend of mine and it's in confidentiality, or in confidence, should I say, where, you know, things said in private, you don't advertise it.
Sure.
So one thing that I just want to go there with, you know, you look at what was done with Trump in the media only 2 years ago, where he was saying all this stuff and no one believed him. And now it's all coming out that it was true.
Yeah.
How the media is paid off, how they lie, they deceive, you know, they're all in it together. It's all coming out now. The censorship that he was talking about while he was still POTUS of America. So, you know, kudos to him for having...
Is that the documentary, The Downfall of the Cabal, that you're talking about? Because
No, it was... Well, he was on the podium and he was doing a speech where he was just saying, you know, he was there with his White House seal on the podium, so it's the POTUS, and he was saying, you over there, you work for that person. You over there, you're not going to be able to publish this because your boss doesn't let you do it. There's all this censorship in the media, and there's a lot of fake news. So, you know, he started talking about the fake news, like what was on CNN, Fox, and all the rest of them, with no personal opinion of my own invested in this at all, you know, because I stay on the political bench, especially when I'm in a public speaker type scenario. So I'm only trying to repeat here what he was saying. And, you know, back then, everyone called him nuts. Oh, the media would never lie. The media wouldn't do that. They don't pay off these people. And now it's all coming out, Mike. Yeah. You know, the more people that get censored, the more people that go, like I had this friend of mine, he got thrown into jail because he posted a photo of a pigeon back in World War II with a message around its leg.
Right.
They threw him in jail. You know, for like 30 days he was put into jail. Because, and, you know, and this is a good friend of mine, so I rang him and I said, hey, you're not on Facebook. Where I hope everything's all right. And he said, yeah, I got done because of a bloody pigeon.
Yeah,
you know,
it must be a pigeon thing, because I got a strike warning for a post I made where this pigeon would come in every morning and lie on the bed of somebody who was dying, who used to feed him when he was in hospital. And the photo was taken by a nurse, and I was told this is partially false information. Strike one.
Oh my God. It's the word pigeon, I think, Mike. So if you know that if we get banned tonight, it's pigeons.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to have to go over onto like DuckDuckGo or one of these other alternate search engines and find out what does pigeon mean in like slang or, you know, urban dictionary type thing, you know, to find out why the word pigeon gets people thrown in jail. you know, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, where's free speech? We live in a world where we're supposed to be able to have free speech, but it's going down the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous what they're doing to us, darling.
We'll,
you know?
we'll uphold free speech as long as we can on this platform. But rest assured, I am really looking at getting my own server, because there doesn't appear to be another social media platform that will do live, allow us to do live, except for YouTube, and that's exactly the same problem. So,
well, exactly. We would not be able to have the conversation we just had on YouTube.
No.
You know? No.
So, and it is actually, I've got something that I'm going to channel, and the information is coming in sporadically while I'm out and about. And the time of now, what she was saying was to now bring economy and information to smaller communities. So, you know, what we've been doing in our life is going into like Home Depot and all these big stores where you're supporting big economy, and it's the small person that hasn't been supported. And what she was saying now is the time now is to buy stuff from, you know, even if it's second hand, from we got Willhaben or Craigslist or something like this, buy from the local store and keep the economy within a community, because that's where money comes back into the community.
That's right. You know, Tashi and I, once a week, we go across to the fish and chip shop across the road. You know, once a week we get either fish and chips, we get a hamburger or something else, you know. So we're supporting them at least once a week, buying food off there, then going to the huge grocery chain, which isn't even owned by Australia, you know. So I like supporting local, you know. You know, I prefer to go up to my local charity shop because they sell toilet rolls and tissues. Yeah. You go into these big grocery chains and there's no toilets or toilet paper or tissues. And you go up there and they've got it really cheap because it's a charity shop, you know. So I was telling my mum the other day, oh, yeah, I've just been up to Salvo's and bought my toilet rolls. And she said, they don't sell toilet rolls. And I said, yes, they do. They've got heaps of them, and it's only $2 for about 10 rolls. Yeah. And she was flabbergasted. You know, she couldn't work it out that these little charities do actually do good things for the people. Yeah. You know, because there was no toilet rolls. Oh, here we go, toilet rolls. You know, we could talk all night about stashing toilet rolls. But at least, you know, if you're desperate, you know, because I just don't want to support big companies at this point, you know.
No, I mean, because that's all dying off. Now, Linda, you know, we now have been allowed, I'm allowed finally after 2 years to go into a shop that other than a supermarket, because during the really strict point, I was not allowed into the equivalent of Home Depot because I haven't got papers. And now suddenly they welcome me. I'm allowed back in. Well, you know what? I don't think that's going to happen. You've seen the last of my money.
That's right. So if they want to discriminate, I don't discriminate. So I don't spend my money with people who discriminate. Yeah. You know, that's one reason why I don't want to travel, because they've all done it. Yeah. You know? Well, here's the thing. The CEOs, they're still making their money.
Before we here's the thing. Get on with the show, here's the thing. I'm fortunate. I've got the Vienna Woods behind me. Lovely forest. Every day I come back from shopping, I pick up wood from the forest. I've got so much wood now for my fire, and I haven't had to go into the big builder's merchant and spend my money there.
That's right. Yes. So that's how, you know, we've got to get back to basics, Mike, you know. Yeah. And this is, you know, we will go down this rabbit hole. You know, you look at Prince Charles, you know, he's coming up to be King of England. One of his incentives is that he's already done it. He's designing self-sufficient villages where there's about 200 houses in a village and everybody's got their own veggie patch and they've all got their own solar panels, so they don't have to pay for electricity or vegetables. Yeah. So once a week you have your farmer's market where everybody, whoever grows whatever you do, you all come together. Oh, I have oranges, so I'll give you some oranges for some bananas or some carrots or a lettuce. Yeah. You know, he wants that out there. So do you think the elites want him wearing the crown?
Well, we're starting our own farmers market, and
Yeah.
at our place, and there's already people in a community that go round to the stores, and for example, there's a big bio store, and if they don't sell the bread at the end of the day, they got to throw it away, and they give them the bread and they distribute it to the poor.
Yeah.
And
That's the voluntary work I do too, darling.
right.
You know? Yeah.
Well, in England, they got something called the freegans, who actually jump into the bins and pick out all the food just because it's one day over the sell-by date.
Yeah.
But these corporations have been getting them nicked for trespass because they've jumped over the gate. And not only that, they've been pouring bleach in the bins over all the food so that it can't be used.
Mate, that's just as good as the bloody energy weapons that they used at Canberra last weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that where
highly
the birdies
illegal?
dropped
It's
out
now
of the
gone.
sky?
Yeah. No. We had a huge protest down in Canberra, and the AFP, Australian Federal Police, they're now under investigation, because first off they said there was only 10,000 people there, and it was more like 800,000.
Right.
They don't want the real, we've only got a population of 25 million. Do the math. That's like 1 in 25 people in the whole of Australia went to Canberra last weekend. So there's these photos on the internet showing the absolute miles and miles of campground where they're all virtually on top of each other because they're all cramped in there. There's so many people. And the AFP came out and said there was only 10,000 people there. So on the Sunday when they did this big rally down at Parliament House in Canberra, they pulled out the energy weapons. So people were getting nauseous. They were having sore throats. This one lady I saw, she's got blisters come up all over her face and her lips have swollen up. Right. Because that's the direct energy weaponry. That's the symptomology of it. So when you look at the photos of that day where you've got all those protesters and you can see the energy weapons off in the distance, all the police are wearing earmuffs or earplugs, so they don't get affected by that energy weapon because it's all like a frequency that we hear. So our Australian Federal Police are now under investigation. From about 4 senators are involved. There's heaps of lawyers involved. How was this event last week allowed to occur? He's not talking about the 800,000 that turned up. He's supporting them, all these senators, but they're saying that the Australian police should never be in a position where they deliberately harm men, women and children, because there was heaps of children at that event. So, then you look at the footage from the AFP commissioner and he's sitting there and he's saying, oh, well, I don't know how they use direct energy weapons. I have no idea.
Right.
Look at the photo and you'll know. So he knows, Mike.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. So he's covering his butt under that plausible deniability where he's just trying to wrangle himself out of it now. So it's going to be interesting, but this is happening all over the world. It's not just Canada, because I'm watching Canada every day. We had one, there's heaps going on in Austria now. There was some little country in Europe, they're all just doing this huge convoy now. They're saying everybody come out and jump on the trucks because the trucks, Austrian cities, you're only 20 kilometres wide anyway,
We're forest people.
You get on the truck and just go there for the day, So they want everybody that lives in this country to turn up at this rally on Saturday. So that's going to be really interesting to see how many people actually do turn up. Obviously people can't go because of kids, or they can't go because of work, or they can't go for any other reason. They're in hospital with a COVID, a fake flu. But, there's a lot of reasons why people can't go to these, of course. So when you look at marketing, they say in marketing, if one person turns up, that actually represents 10. Because of all the people who can't get there for whatever reason. So, and they say for every person who does turn up, that represents 100 who actually did want to turn up. So 800,000 turned up last weekend at Canberra. So that actually represents 8 million who did want to be there, and 80 million who think this is the right idea. And we only have a population of 25 million.
Well,
so what's it telling you?
They actually say that about healing. If you reach one person through healing, it has a knock-on effect of about 100.
Yes.
But anyway,
that's exactly right, Doc. We got to get into our videos.
We got to get onto it. Let's see what Caterina has to
Caterina.
say. Yeah, she's up to it again. Let's have a look.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Hello, my curious friends. My name is Caterina Campagna, and I know what you're here for. You're here for the Open Door News segment. You know, the news that makes you go, ah! Brrr. Or simply, what the? I can't believe. No, I can't believe no one else is talking about this. So let's dive in, shall we? Miss Vera Jane Palmer, known to the world as Jane Mansfield, has a dark rumor surrounding her passing. She was going to New Orleans from Biloxi, Michigan on the date of June 29th, 1976, and she was killed in a horrific car accident. Now, her car might have slipped right underneath a tractor trailer, and they say that she could have been decapitated and her wig was actually thrown from the vehicle. Now, what's a little bit mysterious surrounding her death is that she was in the car with one Sam Brody, her attorney. Mr. Sam Brody got on the bad side of the founder of the Dark Church, Anton LaVey, and it is reported that Jane Mansfield was having an affair with both of these men, and somehow Mr. Brody got on the bad side of Mr. LaVey. It could have been a triangle lovers quarrel, we're not sure, but it is said that Mr. LaVey said that Brody should die in a car accident, and sure enough, he did. I don't know, did he get a little bit of help from his dark father? Up to you to decide. From the star of The Girl Can't Help It to the star of Giant and Rebel Without a Cause, the legendary James Dean was also killed in a car accident that has some lore, some dark lore around it. His car, a Porsche, the 550 Spider, was said to be cursed. He nicknamed the car the Little Bastard. Upon receiving it, a fellow actor, Mr. Alec Guinness from Britain, saw the car and said that he heard it speak to it, saying that if he got in it, he would be dead the following week. He told Dean about his concerns, but Dean just laughed it off, and off he went on a road trip and was killed in an accident. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital he was brought to. But that's not all. The curse of the Little Bastard continued. Now, although it was written off as an insurance loss, a doctor, William Elric, bought the remaining pieces of the car and had some bad luck with it as well. He put a transmission in his car and it blew and he went off the road, and he also gave parts to his friend, a Dr. Troy McHenry, and unfortunately, the friend of his was not as lucky as to survive the wreck with the pieces of Little Bastard in his car. That's not all. It was then taken from a junk heap by a man who was known as the King of Customs, and he had it transported to a unknown location, unknown until this day. But guess what? The man George Bruckus, who was transporting Little Bastard, also perished because the freight fell on top of him. Little Bastard literally crushed George to pieces. So there you have it. Curse of the Little Bastard. He was just so hungry for life. Now on to another mystery that's taken place on U.S. soil. We all know it's there. I'm talking about the Georgia Stones. In Elbert County, not too far from Atlanta, a Mr. Christian appeared in 1979 and mysteriously asked for these stones to be built. Now, some refer to them as the American Stonehenge because they also have a purpose with astronomy. It'll tell you phases of the sun and moon, and the most disturbing feature of these stones is that it kind of speaks to the limiting of the population. They say that in order to keep the earth in balance, we should have no more than 500 million people on this planet. Now, Jordan Peterson, who was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, said that it is impossible to overrun the planet with people and deplete it of its resources. I don't know who to believe. Do you? You can go and check out these stones for yourself because no one has taken them down. In fact, they've become a popular tourist attraction, even being vandalized. That's all for now, my friends. As always, stay brilliant, stay beautiful, and stay curious.
Well, old Anton LaVey gets around a little bit, doesn't he? You know,
oh my God, darling.
He's everywhere.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
you know, people will probably be more familiar with Jane Mansfield's daughter, who's in
SUV.
Law and Order, isn't it? Law and Order.
SVU. Yeah,
Special
Law and Order,
Victims Unit.
Special Victims Unit. Yeah. So, you know, she was in the car. She doesn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, because I love Mariska Hargitay is her name, Hargitay. You know, and I've also Googled some of the photos of the crime scene this week. I don't know how those 3 kids survived in the back seat. Oh my God. You know, imagine what they would have seen. That would have been, you know, obviously traumatic is an understatement.
Sure.
You know, but Jane Mansfield, hello. Anybody is their child, they've got a big boot to fill, or 2, if you're pun there.
Yeah.
You know, because she was in a lot of like Playboys, nude shots, etc. Because she was pretty busty. Yeah. So I can understand why Mariska doesn't want to have any association to her mother, you know, because of how she died, etc. Then we get on to Little Bastard, James Dean's cars. Oh my God, this is like hearing about Chris. Well, darling, you know, it reminds me more of Stephen King's Christine.
Yeah.
You know, this car is possessed.
Not Herbie Rides Again.
No. I remember Herbie, and it was a good movie. Herbie, I mean, that was a good movie from the 70s, you know, the little V-dub and its eyes with the little round lights, you know. But, yeah, this car, I wouldn't want any of that car in my house.
No.
You know, it's obviously got a lot of bad energy associated to it. Yeah, we all should have taken a note out of the book when that guy said, your car just spoke to me. Yeah. Wow, you know, oops. Then we go on to the Georgia Stones. I've researched these guys a lot over the past few years, you know, because there's a lot of interest in them. Mr. Christian does not exist, for one.
No.
They have no idea who this man was.
That's right.
That came up with a significant amount of money to build this because he paid in cash.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay? He paid in cash. He said his name was Mr. Christian, and he gave the stonemasons, he gave them explicit instructions. He showed them designs, what he wanted carved into each particular stone. So they were commissioned to do his work, but there is no record of this man. These guys were shown mugshots of all these people, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people. They could not recognize who Mr. Christian was. So it is a baffling little do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
You know, was he a lizard? He could have been a lizard.
You know,
who knows?
A colleague of mine wrote the book, The Falsification of History, and he's got a whole chapter on that, and it's very, very interesting indeed, and it ties in with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
that's
anyway,
right.
you know.
So good find by Caterina again.
Yep.
She's doing amazing work for us, Mike.
Yep.
Love her work.
Yep.
Yay.
Okie dokie. Well, let's move on to our first ghostly experience. This is what I've called the ghost door, or the door ghost, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
And the question is, what would you do about this if this was in your house? Let's have a look. Here we go.
Not many people are brave enough to face their demons head on. That makes this video from X Paranormal, which was featured on Solo Paranormal, that much more thrilling. The video begins by showing a door handle violently rattling as if someone's on the other side trying to get in. Watch what happens. The homeowner opens the door, showing us that there's another door on the other side. For someone to rattle the handle of the wooden door, they would have had to have opened the metal door first. It seems unlikely that anyone could have closed the door and gotten away quickly enough to not have been caught on camera. Just to be sure, he locks the metal door before closing the inside door once again. Take a look at what happens this time. The violent rattling immediately starts up again. He whips open the door, showing that there's no one outside and the metal door is closed and locked. This happens several more times, each more violently than the last. By the end, the handle is practically coming off the door. Many viewers have dubbed this strange activity as the work of a poltergeist. According to many paranormal investigators, poltergeists are particularly powerful spirits, capable of moving physical objects in our world. Many comments said that this homeowner should be careful because this resident spirit doesn't seem happy.
Yeah, no, he doesn't seem happy at all, does he? Poor little thing. What's going on, Linda? You got that look on your face that tells me something.
I'm just going to say 4 words.
Go on.
Did you see it?
No.
There's something in there. There's something in that footage that gives a big clue away, Mike.
Okay.
There's no handle on the outside of the door. The thing that's shaking the door is inside the house.
Ah. Okay,
Yes.
so go and have another quick look. Let's have a quick look and see what we got.
Not many people are brave enough to face their demons head on. That makes this video from X Paranormal, which was featured on Solo Paranormal, that much more thrilling. The video begins by showing a door handle violently rattling as if someone's on the other side trying to get in. Watch what happens. The homeowner opens the door, showing us that there's another door on the other side. For someone to rattle the handle of the wooden door, they would have had to have opened the metal door first. It seems unlikely that anyone could have closed the door and gotten away quickly enough to not have been caught on camera. Just to be sure, he locks the metal door before closing the inside door once again. Take a look at what happens this time. The violent rattling immediately starts up again. He whips open the door, showing that there's no one outside and the metal door is closed and locked. This happens several more times, each more violently than the last. By the end, the handle is practically coming off the door. Many viewers have dubbed this strange activity as the work of a poltergeist. According to many paranormal investigators, poltergeists are particularly powerful spirits capable of moving physical objects in our world. Many comments said that this homeowner should be careful because this resident spirit doesn't seem happy.
There was a scene where he's opening the door and you actually just see a little bit.
Yeah.
It's actually like a deadlock thing that you put the key into.
Yeah.
I've got the same thing here with my house, Mike. There's no room there for the door handle because it would hit the screen door.
Yeah.
So that's what gave it away to me first. So I looked at it again and I thought, where's the door handle on the outside?
Sure.
There is none.
No.
There's none. It's just like a little knobby thing that you put the key in to make the door open. So whatever's doing that is on the inside.
The real
of
thing,
the house.
Linda? The real thing,
Hey?
or trickery?
Well, it's pretty violent because it's taken the whole door handle off the hinges. You know, if you've got string attached to it, then how hard would you have to be pulling that string to actually make that door handle come away like that? You know? So, and you can't see any string because unless it's got one of those auto, what do they call it, when it auto goes back up? Which this door handle, I don't think it did.
No.
So it would be going back up so that you can pull it down and then it would auto back up.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like that.
No,
so
not at all.
you'd need two strings, one to pull it down and then you'd need another one. So you're pulling it like this to make it go both ways. So I think it's real. But obviously, you know, further investigations needed at the house to find out what else is happening there.
Yeah.
If it's doing that, then there's probably other activity there. It won't be just doing it to the door handle.
No.
And then we've also got to debunk it and say, is there a train station nearby or a train track?
Yeah.
Because I know here, I live near a main road, and when trucks go down the main road, my lights shake because of the vibration through the land. But would that be enough to make his door shake that violently?
Right.
You know, you'd actually see the whole door shaking in the hinges if that was the case. So see how we debunk it?
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the case because it's shaking too violently and the door itself is not shaking. So I tend to believe that it's something there unless you know something else about it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I pretty much think. I mean, I haven't looked at it the way you have. As you know, I've just got to get these videos out, and if it looks too ridiculous, I don't put it out. But this, to me, looked like the real deal. I'm just amazed how calm these people were looking at it quite scientifically.
Darling, you know, I did a video here the other day, and as I'm filming, my front door opened and slammed pretty violently, and it was locked, by the way.
Yeah.
And I just turn around and because I've watched the video to see if you can hear it, and I say, "Pardon me, did you hear that?"
Yeah.
Because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm used to activity in this house. I'm used to having ghosts around that move things around by themselves. You know, so to me, as long as it doesn't come and like attack me to like hurt me, then to me it's just, oh yeah, there's somebody here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just having a relative in the house per se. But you don't know who that relative is or friend.
Yeah.
So, you know, unless they physically are hurting you, why be alarmed of it?
Yeah.
You know, it's obvious, pardon me, it's just obviously somebody who likes shaking that door handle. You know, and you got to look at why does he do that? Because one, look at the reaction he's getting.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know if he's moved 10 things around inside the house and the owners just were oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But as soon as he started rattling that door, oh, my God, we're all now paying attention to it. So he thinks, well, this is how I let you know I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
It's got the
I'm
attention.
Your dead mother. I'm here. You know, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, it could be his dead mother. It could be anybody there, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where you need a medium to come in and just say, hey, who is this person? You know, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know, and you talk to them and find out what it is that they want because, you know, most ghosts that stay do have something that they want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd go there. Definitely. You know, he stood there for 5 minutes and didn't get hurt. So, You know, there's a high chance that if I went there to investigate, I wouldn't get hurt.
No.
So I'd go there, obviously, you know, without heartbeat. If he was down the street from me, I'd say, hey, when am I coming over again? You know, because I wouldn't just go there once.
No.
You know, I'd like to see it a few times. You know, set up the cameras and really try and work it out, you know. So you got to look at traffic, any vibration from heavy vehicles.
Yeah.
Trains can do it, even low-flying planes, but you'd hear it in that audio.
Yeah.
So, you know, then you've got to think, hang on, we didn't hear any trucks or trains in that audio.
No.
So there was none of that, you know. So I believe that this is true, you know, where it is, because it's just so violent, you know, aggressively shaking it. Yeah. So, yeah, I do believe that's real footage, Mike. Yeah, good find, by the way.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the Metal Ghost. This is at a heavy metal concert, and it's quite funny. It's like he's bumped into an invisible mirror, isn't it? Boom, and on the floor he goes. So, yeah, this is right up Caterina Street, this one. But anyway, let's have a look at this and see what you think of this one.
Now, most of the time we think of creepy paranormal video as occurring in the dark, and maybe in creepy old abandoned places.
Right.
But here's a video that's from a live daytime heavy metal music festival in San Bernardino, California in 2011. And just watch very closely, because it's about to get weird.
What?
What? So a very big guy goes charging into the mosh pit when suddenly he seems to get clotheslined by someone or something that is completely invisible, and he goes flying backwards. Now, that would be weird enough, but his friend helps him up, and then he seems to get forcefully yanked backwards again by some unseen force. He even seems to get dragged backwards along the ground. So is this just the ghost of an angry metal fan? Is this guy just an incredible mime? Or what happened here? You tell me.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
Consider, well, first of all, I think it's a possibility that this is a demonic or poltergeist or whatever, because first of all, whether you like metal music or not, it's not a judgment. It is one of the most low vibrational music that is out there. And if you listen to all the almost demonic singing that was going on in there, you're invoking some really low entities, low energies there. So I wouldn't be surprised. If this guy's been on the old Bolivian marching powder or something similar to this, his vibration's going to be even lower. And so it's going to be much easier for him to be attacked. I would say this is a pretty good chance that this is pretty real, but I will bow to your superior knowledge, Linda.
Well, I was actually just going to say that someone didn't like his Metallica t-shirt. Was it Metallica? I don't know. But, you know, you're at a heavy metal concert. You know, everyone wears their heavy metal gear. You know, so, you know, I've been to concerts, you know, Led Zeppelin, Bon Jovi. Everyone wears everybody else's t-shirts there because it's just the fact that you go to concerts.
What happened at a Bon Jovi concert with you, by the way, Linda?
You really want me to tell it?
Yeah, go on, tell them.
Okay, I was in the Bon Jovi fan club, so every month I was getting their, in the mail, it was a big booklet once a month with all their information. So when Bon Jovi were coming out here in 1995, I think it was 1995 off the top of my head, they had a competition on the radio and they said, if you can tell us things that we don't know about Bon Jovi, you're going to win tickets to get on stage. So I rang and it was actually an answering machine. Duh! So I was ringing constantly with all this information out of all these books that I've been getting for the past year about Bon Jovi. Oh, Davy Bryant, the keyboardist, do you know that he's got 2 twin girls? Their names are this and that. Oh, the drummer, Tico Torres, do you know this? So obviously I won 2 tickets to get on stage with Bon Jovi, right? The beautiful thing that I love about this story is that the night of the concert it was pouring with rain. And when I was going through the gate with I actually bought 2 tickets that I gave to my sister, and then I won the free tickets to go into the front area and then get on stage with them. So one, my sister and her husband went to the concert. Secondly, when I went through the gate, the idiot security guard did not take my tickets.
Right.
So I'm in the front mosh pit, like right in front of Bon Jovi. Yeah. And this guy says, hey, you've got the armband on, you're going on stage, follow me. So I went out the back in the pouring rain. There's 2 people sitting out the back. And they said, oh, you don't know anyone that's scalping tickets, we want to get in. I said, mate, it's your lucky day. Not only are they free, they're front row centre. So how fast did they run into the concert? So I got up on stage and, backstage they put us in a line of height, height to bottom. And they pulled me out because they made 2 rows with all the high people at the back, tall ones at the back. And they put me on the end. That was planned, okay? That was planned. Because, look at me back in the 90s, I was a size 2 American, which is about a size 6 or an 8 in Australia. And I had my hair long, it was blonde down in nearly my butt. And I had my, I didn't look too bad when I was in my 30s, before I died. So I get up on stage and it's the song Keep the Faith. At the end of singing, John singing Keep the Faith, he walks over to me and he kisses me. So I did what any groupie would do. I groped his ass. 2 hands, both cheeks, pressing for the life of me. Instantly I had 3 security guards on top of me escorting me off stage. So the next day my sister rang me and she said, were you wearing a blue Bon Jovi hat? And I said, yeah, I had to buy the hat because I had my contact lenses in. She said, were you wearing a white Bon Jovi T-shirt? And I said, yeah, I bought that on the night. Yeah, because, got in for free. Hello. And she said, do you realise for the song Keep the Faith, you were up on stage. They had 3-story high video screens on either side of the stage. It was you, then John, you, then John, you, then John, John, then you for the whole song. Yeah. We saw him walk over to you. We saw him kiss you. We saw you grope him. And then we saw the security drag you off. And my sister said, how do you feel about that? And I said, best concert ever. So there you go. So I had a guy here about a year, just before COVID. And I said to him, I've got a Bon Jovi mug if you want to use it for a coffee. And he said, I was at this really wicked concert back in the 90s. There was this girl on stage, she groped him and they took her off stage. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him and I said, that was me. So me and Bon Jovi, darling, we had a moment, okay? He's my unofficial boyfriend, he just doesn't know it yet because he's not divorced yet from Dorothea, But, it's one of those memories that we keep in our hearts and it gives us that sense that we've done something that nobody else has done, So that's where, whenever I talk to anyone who's feeling sad, depressed, or, look at the past 2 years, I always say to them, think about something that you've done that nobody else has ever done. Yeah. It doesn't have to be as grand as being on stage in front of 40,000 people and groping somebody's butt cheeks. But, it could be smiling at a stranger, stopping and pausing to just smell a flower, I mean, all these beautiful things that we can do that make us so different and unique.
I'm not sure of John Bon Jovi's history, but I can tell you he's now got 3 restaurants where you go in
down in New Orleans,
and you don't pay if you can't afford, and those that can afford will help pay for those that have got nothing.
That's right.
So
it's through his Soul Kitchen. He's got a charity called Soul Kitchen, where he anyone can come in And if some people do want to work for their food, they're welcome to go out and start cooking or clean up after they eat. So, this humanity that people are starting to show, I absolutely adore it, Mike.
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, I was giving up hope, when COVID started, because everyone was getting selfish, aggressive, angry. Yeah. But now we're seeing these acts of kindness coming out where, we don't have to say, okay, I'm going to start a $3 million charity, who's got those sort of funds. But, we can do it by smiling at a stranger. We can do it by giving somebody, paying for someone else's coffee when we go to Starbucks, paying someone, if you're going through a toll booth, you pay for the car behind you, that sort of thing. Yeah. Because it creates that ripple of that intention, which all adds up to brownie points when we go to heaven, which is ironic because I just spoke about that today in the video that I did this morning about my life review. We do something as easy as smiling at a stranger. They feel that. Yeah. And then it's a ripple that comes out of them and spreads to others. It's beautiful, the humanity that we're starting to see now with people. The ones, I love watching the footage from Ottawa. These people are standing there in 3 foot of snow, but they're giving their clothes off their back to someone else who's colder than they are. Yeah. I look at the footage from Canberra last weekend where they say there was only 10,000 people. There was over 10,000 cars. Let's do the math there. Before I forget it, at our circle, we never turn anyone away. If you haven't got the money to pay, then that's exactly right,
we say, well, okay, come and help set up and come and help wash up after, because we all sit down after, have some soup and rice and something like that. Yeah. So come along and help. We have to be a bit careful because we don't want people that just don't want to pay because they're going to a restaurant tomorrow night. You know what I mean? So,
that's just those selfish idiots.
Yeah. If you're genuinely
because there's a lot of selfish.
Then we don't turn anyone away. But before we go on to the next thing, Linda, here's something from the last video from Zach Reed that said, I had a similar fall like that too, but I was running, fell over, but didn't hurt myself when I fell over. Actually didn't feel anything, just that you couldn't go through that time. But then I got up and walked through. All I said was, can you get out of me way? There you are.
Show some respect, you know. How many ghosts do want to go to concerts? You know, if I was here for a concert, if I was here as a ghost and I heard Bon Jovi were coming back, I'd be going to the concert again. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I'd be pushing people out of the way, let me through. I want to get back to the front row again, you know, because I've got that energetic connection of being there previously, you know. But yeah, that's just a bit of humor there with ghosts because they don't know time, you know, they lose it through that distortion of their consciousness. Yeah. But, you know, it is very, as Zach Red just said, you know, they can push us over. You know, it's like we just walk into that concrete wall and we're floored because it's that inertia, bang, going back. You know, so I believe that footage was real. Yeah. Absolutely, Mike, you know. Yeah. I'm not denying that one at all because I've watched it in slow motion and he can't throw himself backwards the way he did it. No. You know, twice.
Maybe that metal ghost was a Motley Crue fan. And, you know, there you are.
That's right. You don't know, you know.
Well, time's moving on. Should we go and look at the NDE of John Davis? An interesting one because he was shown the orientation room. Very, very interesting one.
Very interesting.
Here we go.
I was at my parents' house and I was riding one of their mopeds. I turned a corner really fast and there was a squirrel sitting in the middle of the road. So in order for me to avoid hitting the squirrel, I made this huge right turn and I crashed into a tree. And I hit in such a way that I had to have the tendons on my right hand surgically reattached to the bone. So the day of the surgery comes, and I have never had a surgery before. So as they started to give me the anesthesia through my veins, I could feel it going through my body, up through my arms, into my shoulders, down through my neck, and then my chest, and then to my heart. In the very second that it hit my heart stopped. So the very second that I shut my eyes and died, I opened up my eyes and I was standing in the most beautiful, perfect marble building that I could ever imagine. And as far down as you could see, you couldn't see an end to this corridor. On the left-hand side were these beautiful, ornate doorways or tunnels that looked like they had been cut out of the marble. To the very right of those doorways, about 4 feet, there were these tables, and they each had 4 benches around the table so people could sit at each end of the table. During this whole process, there was somebody who was standing next to me, who was talking to me in my left ear. I never saw this person, but throughout my whole near-death experience, it was a guy who was standing next to me telling me what I was seeing and what I was looking at. He told me this was an orientation center. And I didn't think at the time anything about that I was having surgery or that I had an allergic reaction and that I had died. That didn't even occur to me. I was totally simply engrossed in what I was seeing. And so I just listened. There were 2 people sitting at each one of these tables, as far down as you could see. My guide told me to walk over and look inside the first tunnel. Inside the tunnel, I could see stars, and I could see planets, and I could see galaxies. It was absolutely a magical experience. That is a tunnel that people come through when they die. My guide then said, look up to your left and look at the next doorway. So I looked up to the next doorway, and there was a man that was coming through, and he had his right arm on his left chest. And my guide said he had died from having a heart attack. He looked very dazed. He looked very confused about what was going on. So the woman that was right in front of his doorway stood up. She walked over and she took his hands in hers. And she walked over and she sat him down across from her at this table. And I could see that she was talking to him, but I was too far away to see what she was actually saying. His appearance began to change. He was an 80-year-old man when he came through the doorway, but as he was talking to this counselor, he became younger and younger until he was probably in his late 20s or early 30s. Her job as an orientator was to help people remember that they have just finished a lifetime and that they're home now. And whether you want to call it heaven or you want to call it the other side, that's our true home. When she was done talking to him, he stood up. He walked over to the right of the table and he walked down 3 marble steps to a garden. And I know people have described the gardens on the other side that they're absolutely beautiful, but they are so hard to describe how beautiful they really are. The gardens were almost like they were alive. What was happening to this man is as he walked down those 3 steps and he walked into the garden, there were people there, a lot of people, and they were there to greet him from coming back from his life. They were hugging him, kissing him, welcoming him home, saying, what a great job you did great, now you're back home again. And sometimes people don't need the orientation because they are much closer to the other side than others, especially kids. When kids cross over, they don't need to have an orientation because they just came from there. The orientation is for people who may have lived a long, long life and had forgotten where they really came from. And so that's where those counselors really come into play. And it was fantastic. I wish I could describe to you what it looked like. But as I looked down this corridor, there were people coming through the corridors, through these tunnels. It was very busy. People were crossing over all the time. And these counselors would get up and help them and bring them back to these tables and help get them orientated. So the building he took me to next was another Greco-Roman building with white columns, beautiful white Grecian Roman columns out front. And they were formed in a circle with a dome on top. Then we walked in. My guide said, this is where we plan our lifetimes. All of our lives go through a planning process, and we plan them with our main guides before we come into life, so that life it's not just a random accident. There's purpose, there's reason. When I first walked in, there was a table, and he was standing by it, and there were 2 scrolls on the table. One had a blue ribbon on it, and the other one had a red ribbon on it. And I didn't know what these were at first. My guide said, these are your scrolls that you write the major points of your lifetime on. Everybody writes down where they're going to live, what their parents are going to be like. Are they going to go to school? Are they going to go to college? What's their career going to be? Are they going to have a lot of money? Are they going to have a little bit of money? All of that is prepared ahead of time on these scrolls. Picked up the blue scroll, and I opened up the scroll on the table. And when I tried to read it, all of a sudden the scroll folded back up again. And my guide said, I'm not allowed to read that until I finish this lifetime. But he was trying to show me that our lives aren't an accident. Everything is actually planned out for a reason. He said we forget it because if we knew what we were supposed to do, we wouldn't be testing ourselves. He took me to a meadow, beautiful flowing mountains or hills. And all of a sudden, I saw animals come jumping down that hill. And he said, every one of these animals that you've ever loved, or that anybody has ever loved, is on the other side. As I was standing there, I could see 2 of my dogs, and I could see 2 of my cats running down the hill. And all the animals play together until their loved ones from Earth cross over to the other side and come back and get them. It was such a feeling of unbelievable love that they're all there waiting for you, and that they play with each other, and that they're happy. And then the last thing that happened is my guide took me to this field. As I was standing there, another gentleman walked up. He was about 2 feet from me, and he was so bright that I couldn't see his face. All I could see was that he was wearing a white robe with a red sash around the waist. He lifted up his hands and he said, you must tell them there is no death. The very second he said that, I woke up back in the hospital with these doctors all looking down at me. He said, he's back, he's back. I was physically dead for 6 minutes. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing I don't understand is it felt like what he took me on was a 2-hour journey of the other side. How could he possibly have showed me all of those things in 6 minutes? It's so much a piece of my life now that I share it with almost anybody who wants to hear about it, because that's what he told me.
One of the most eloquent renditions of an NDE that I've heard there. Linda, he's dead for 6 minutes. It felt like 2 hours. You've had this experience. What do you think of this? By the way, did you have an orientation room? Or did you bypass that? You're on mute.
Sorry, Tashi and I were catching a fly, which we caught. We catch it with a container and a clipboard, and we take them outside because we don't kill anything. Sorry, so we were just playing catch the fly. So I muted it. Okay, I openly say, Mike, I didn't see everything because there's so much there. I openly tell people that I look for those similarities and those commonalities to prove that this is real and not just made up fiction due to some drug-induced experience that the person's had. So that's one reason why, I love stories like this where there are similarities, which I'll go into, but I didn't see that room. So do I feel bad about it? No, because he's got his own path where he must share that. I've got my own path where I talk about heaven and the life review and my great-great-great-great-grandmother, which he had different experiences. I would have loved to have gone to the orientation room and said, come back and say, we all signed these contracts, which other people have done, including him. But that wasn't part of the journey that I was meant to have, because the first thing he said, which really got me intrigued by his story, was they were talking to me in my left ear. That's what I had. as soon as I landed in heaven, she was standing here on my left side, and she was directing me to go forward and experience this world that I was now in, heaven. When it came time for me to go from there to my life review, she tapped me on my left shoulder and said, it's time to go. So he's got that same thing where they're on the left of him talking in his ear like I had. So that got me intrigued because, you know, who would come out with this unless they knew it, okay? The next thing, the field of flowers, well, here we go again because I landed in the field of flowers too. You know, did he land on the same X that I talk about? You know, seriously. He called it the garden. Well, that is a way of explaining it because it was gorgeously manicured lawns. You know, no grass was 10 foot long like we get if we don't mow for a month. The flowers were all in bloom, like a very well fertilized exhibit at a botanical garden would be. So he calls it garden. I called it field of flowers. Okay. I loved even how he talked about the water and those counselors. You know, I show my book a lot. What have I done with my book?
I was just going to say, have you got your book handy? Here's a great opportunity. So,
well, here's my book, Mike. It's called 5 Years in Heaven, The Teachings of Heaven. You know, look how thick it is on Lulu. You know, it's available on Lulu, LULU.com. If you search my name, Linda Kramer, you'll get it because it comes up as a PDF or the hard copy, and this is the hard copy. Look how thick it is. But I use this, you know, these are my 3 counselors. And I even talked about them just today on my YouTube channel. Who are these people? Because they're not God. And no one ever says, you know, when they say, oh, I saw these 3 beings, they never call them God, which is another similarity. He called them counselors. I actually called them the High Council. So for him to say, oh, yeah, they were counselors because he knew it. We don't get told it. We just know it. Like the sky is blue when we wake up tomorrow, we know it. So that had me intrigued. Then he was talking about the life contracts with the blue and the red ribbons. I didn't see any of that, and I'm open with what I did and didn't experience. So I'm really grateful that he gets the opportunity to talk about that, okay?
I'd be putting a few strikes through some of that contract if I was over there. No, we'll forget that one. But no, we're not doing that one.
Well, then we get to the line that he said, if we knew what we were going to do, we wouldn't learn the lesson. How many people right now around the world are learning life lessons, Mike? Everybody. Because, A, it's bringing out our true intentions, our true self. Nasty people are showing who they are. Let's go there. Let's go there. Cyberbullying is on the rise. And these idiots are disclosing their names. So then you can search them and find their ISP addresses. You know, don't even mention the positions that I've had in the past, but this is just how they search it out. So you can find ISP addresses, then you find addresses. So these online bullies do get caught. Then you've got to look at, you know, the goodness that people are doing now. You know, in the video that I just did today, my YouTube channel is called Dr. Linda Kramer. It's on our little thing here that you can see on me. Go over and check me out on YouTube because the video I did today on my life review, I talk about the good things that we do for others. It's tenfold. It's brownie points. Well, I didn't say brownie points, but it is. Because we bawl our eyes out because it's so gorgeous. Just smiling at that stranger on the street because we see that intention. Okay, so 6 minutes clinically dead. He had 2 hours in home. I was dead for 14 minutes minimum. Could have been a lot longer than that because my husband had to wake up because it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I may have been on the floor for half an hour before I even woke up and decided to come and search me out. So, you know, they time it from the time the first ambos arrived until the second ambos because they logged it. She's clinically dead. We've got to get the ALS arrived. Advanced life support crew had to come with the defib. So that duration. So, he'd already been on the phone to 911 in America, the emergency number. He'd been on the phone to them for like 10 minutes before the first crew arrived. How long did it take him to find me? You know, I could have been seriously dead 45 minutes. I don't know. I really don't know, Mike. So I just say the 14 minutes. But I went home for 5 years because time up there is so different. I'm going to do a video tomorrow where I'm talking about the TV show Lucifer that's on Netflix. Oh my gosh. I've just finished season 6. They're saying there's no more, so they do tidy it all up. But if you have got access to Lucifer, it's on Netflix, just bypass the first 5 series and just watch the last 2 where we're talking about hell, where they talk about grudges, regrets, and our guilt that we hold on to. If we seriously know something is wrong, I'll just go back here to those cyberbullies, right? They know what they're doing is wrong. So they hold on to that guilt. So when they die, like in the episode of Lucifer that I'm talking about, series 6, that's the last episode where they end it. He's there healing all these people who are hanging on to all that pain from their guilt of what they've done in their lives. And that's why we go to hell. That lovely man that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, we showed him where he went to the hellish experience. He was an atheist. And then when he said, oh, my God, I'm so sorry for what I've done, then Jesus came and said, now you can go back. So we do have that option of healing, but a lot, and I'd say about 98% of souls that go to hell, they never recognize what they're feeling guilty about. And that's a really sad situation. So that's why, my YouTube channel, I try and teach now how to be happy, how to be kind, how to be loving, grateful, understanding, etc. So we don't hang on to those guilts to make us go to that awful, awful brimstone and fireplace. Okay? Yeah, but John Davis, loved his story. Absolutely loved it.
I mean,
so many similarities.
Just for the record, whenever my father visits me, he presents himself at a younger age, about 50, 55.
And that's what they can do because they're now energy. They can come through as any age. Lovely story I'd just like to quickly share. A couple of years back, a lady came here and instantly there's this man standing next to her. So I look at this man who's popped in and I said, what's your name? And he said, my name is Ben, I'm 22. So I looked at this lady and I said to her, you don't know anyone by the name of Ben who'd now be 22 years old? And she was on the floor crying. 22 years ago, she actually had a miscarriage. At about 26 weeks, he died, and she called him Ben.
Right.
So he can still come through as the age of what he is. Oh, he stayed with her whole life. He was telling me everything. Tell her how when she was in Singapore and broke the iron and it fell off and hit her on the toe and she broke a toe. Tell her about when she had her root canal surgery back in 1989. Yeah. How would I know all this stuff, unless he was actually there to tell me the information. So I love the story of Ben, so that's going to be in my new ghost book that's coming out.
Right.
It now has a title. I'm calling it Ghosts and Spirits. I don't know the bottom of it yet. It's either going to be a conscious distortion or something else similar. Emotional connection. Ghosts and Spirits, the emotional connection. So I think I'll go with the emotional connection because people understand that more than when I start talking psychology, which is a distortion of consciousness. So I'm plowing through it.
I wouldn't recommend anyone wanting to have an NDE. That
who wants to die, Mike? Unless it's for real, unless it's for permanency.
I every night I have to say I have out-of-body experiences. It's very clear, especially on a Tuesday night because we do table tipping during the day and that really makes your energy high. Then we have our circle, either healing circle, spirit communication circle of the evening. I don't get home till 12 o'clock. And so Tuesday night it's really as clear as like I'm talking to you. And so this is why when we finish, I sometimes need a little nap because I really haven't slept at all.
Well, mate, that's like me too. You know, I did a reading yesterday, and you know, an hour later, after I detox myself, because you know what I'm talking about, where I'm detoxing the energy from that person, I went and had a sleep. You know, so that's one reason why I only like doing one reading a day. You know,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so because then I can just take my time and just go and meditate and clear out and you know get any messages for myself. You know, at that point, you know. So yeah, I love the work that we're doing, Mike. You know, I hope and pray that, you know, as people start waking up to this, they really do appreciate that we've been around for a long time. We know what we're talking about. You know, we're not just like amateurs. You know, I'm not comparing myself to amateurs. You know, everyone's entitled to do what they want. But, you know, you and I are what I would call professionals because we don't have a day job. You know, this is our source of income. And most of all, this is what we're passionate about doing for others.
Right.
You know, that's why we do it. You know, a lot of people just want to do readings as a side income, or they've lost their job and they think, oh, God, what can I do now? Oh, I'll start doing readings. You know, they're not doing it for the right job. They're not doing it for the right reason, I mean. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, Dad, we better get on and have a look at the Healing Angel.
The Healing Angel. We'll talk about it after. Beautiful
This is
story.
a good one, guys.
Here
Beautiful story. Here it comes.
In June of 1991, 31-year-old Susie Eller was leading a very active life.
Bye, honey. See you later.
All right, bye-bye. And don't worry, I'll pick up the kids.
Okay.
I had 2 night classes a week. I left the house every morning at 7 a.m. I came in every night late, immediately either went to church or to a ball game with the kids or made supper.
Besides taking care of her 3 kids, Susie also volunteered at a youth camp, and it was there that she made a startling discovery. One night, as she laid down on the hard camp bed, she felt a lump in her left breast.
I sat up on the edge of the bed and I began to just feel the lump and realized it was pretty good size. I wasn't alarmed because I had had other little tiny lumps come up before that had always proved to be not a problem.
Wow.
And just kind of offhand, I said to him, oh, by the way, there's this lump in my left breast.
How long have you noticed that?
Back in June when I was at camp.
And his face just went white.
Has it increased in size at all?
As a matter of fact, it has.
Let me take a look, okay?
And I asked her if it was extremely tender, and she said it was bothersome to her. And those are the scary answers that we get when we start thinking in terms of this actually could be a cancer.
I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I wasn't prepared to even hear the word cancer because I went in for something totally different.
We went ahead and made the arrangements for a diagnostic mammogram.
The next day, Dr. Butner gave Susie the biopsy results.
I told her that it was cancer.
Now, the good news is that it's not an infiltrating inflammatory carcinoma. Those are extremely aggressive.
What's next?
Well, we'll need a lymph node dissection to determine if the cancer has spread.
I knew that it was bad news. I knew that my life was getting ready to change. But at this point, I thought, going to have the surgery, and then we'll get on with life.
Spread. A CAT scan was ordered. The results were not good.
When my doctors walked in, I looked at them and I could tell that something was wrong.
The CAT scan has shown a light shadowing on the left portion of your brain.
And I said, well, what does this mean? And the doctor said, Susie, if it is a malignancy,
then we'll have to operate, and after that, do some chemotherapy.
And if all of that goes well, you might have a 10% chance of survival over 5 years. It was like somebody just dropped an anvil in my lap, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was totally just devastated because for the first time, I didn't have hope.
This can't be happening.
It's at that point that he got my Bible. All of a sudden, it connected.
It was amazing that a spirit of peace came into the room. And I knew that Susie was being healed right then.
And I knew from that moment on, it was going to be all right. I didn't know what was going to happen, but all of a sudden, the anvil was lifted, and I was able to go to sleep and totally sleep in peace.
The next day, the couple anxiously waited for the MRI results in Susie's hospital room.
And I was talking on the phone, and all of a sudden, Dr. Butner walked in. I love you.
Hi. The shadowing that showed up on your CAT scan earlier is completely gone.
And I said, what? He said, the MRI was totally clear.
We can't explain it, but it has disappeared.
I said, sweetheart, I knew you were healed last night. And she said, I knew I was healed last night, too.
I knew it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we still have a few signs on the lymph nodes. We have to continue with the chemotherapy there, okay? But as far as anything on the brain, there's not a trace.
Okay,
Thank you, doctor.
2 weeks later, Susie received her first dose of chemotherapy.
And I felt the chemo hit my vein. But when I closed my eyes just so briefly, I saw myself in that chair. And I saw two individuals. They were in white, just completely hemming me in, standing guard on either side of me.
Why don't you go upstairs and rest?
Okay.
I'll go get you some water.
Susie didn't mention what had happened until she arrived home.
Honey, who are those two people in the room with us today?
I didn't see anyone.
I said, sweetheart, there were no men that came in. There was a really nice nurse that did the IV, but there were no men.
Oh, well.
I'll go get you that water.
All right.
That night, Susie received a call from her mother-in-law, Sandra Eller, that would help explain her vision.
Hello? Hi, Susie. It's Sandra. I called
When I called Susie to find out how the chemotherapy treatment went, I was afraid that she would say that she got sick and everything was bad, but she said it went pretty good.
You know, during chemo, I felt great, too.
I said, I'm not sick. I said, oh, Sandra, you would not believe what I saw today.
I don't know how to explain this. I was standing there, and I could see myself, and I had this, like, overwhelming presence around me. And I felt this peace. I don't know how to describe it. It was just overwhelming.
I didn't know what it was, and I said, but I felt that protectiveness.
Susie listened as Sandra explained what had happened just prior to the angel's appearance.
I was praying that night, and I said, Lord, I want you to take my guardian angel and send her to Susie.
You did? And, you know, it must have been your angel and my angel.
And she said, I didn't realize that until you told me you sent me yours.
Ah, beautiful story there. So,
I'm just sharing some love, darling. Look at all these little hearts coming up.
I can't see them. So,
no, darling, I'm just sharing the love.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to admit, Mike, you know, I've had a pretty traumatic life, you know. I, too, was diagnosed with a brain tumour back in 2016. So it did trigger me a little bit, you know, so that's why I just left the room when she was talking about what she was going through, because I do not allow that energy onto me anymore, okay? Because, you know, I had that healed. So, you know, in the back of your mind, you always say, is it going to come back if I don't stay in a higher vibration, you know? Don't ever Google what is a brain tumor. You don't want to know, okay? I went into shock for 2 days when I had my own diagnosis. But, you know, MRIs 6 months apart, 3 showed it. Then I had this healing, 2 MRIs after that, so it went up to like 2019-ish. No tumor. You know, I had no surgery, no other way of getting rid of it. You know, even the doctor was holding the report, and, you know, he's looking at the report and he's looking at me, And he says, no, you've had surgery. This is how you got rid of it. And I was just saying, no. Where's the scars? I would have lost half of my hair if I'd had surgery. And he just could not fathom how I told him that I did not have a brain tumor anymore. So, it is nice when we hear of somebody else having the same sort of thing happen to them, so I don't feel like it was just me, especially with her angels that healed her,
Right.
And it just makes me feel how blessed we all are that when we have got a purpose, we all have life contracts. If our life contract is to end tomorrow, then something will happen to make us pass tomorrow. But, if our time is not up as per our contract or what our guides want for us, they will see to it that we do evade that trauma, So we can't ever compare why did the angels save this person but they allowed that person to die, because we don't know their life lessons, we don't know their contracts before birth. As beautiful John Davis said before, in that I didn't actually go there, but where he said he was looking at his scrolls of lives, etc. I have heard of that before. So we do have that scroll that we do cast out what we want as intentions to learn in future existences, even though it's all in present when we're in heaven. But, what a gorgeous, gorgeous story.
Beautiful.
Loved it. Loved it.
Well, we're running out of time very, very quickly. So let's just take a look at the work of medium Lisa Bousson, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we go.
Cool.
Who is this? Ed, your dad?
Husband.
Husband. Do you understand? I don't know if he's talking about himself or someone else. Do you understand, like, here and gone?
He.
Him? Yes.
Yeah.
He's very sorry for that. Very sorry for that. Can we have a Kleenex, please? Thank you. He says you didn't have time to prepare. And he's saying Marshall? Is there police officers around you, or is there...
Police officers found him, but...
I see. All right. And was this an accident or something like that? Because he's talking to me about it being very unexpected.
Yes.
But he was like this, like there's a couple things going on here. What was the cause of his death? What was the ruling?
We found out later he had an enlarged heart that we had no idea.
All right. So he's saying some kind of accident, like... Okay, I understand. He's talking about falling.
They found him next to his four-wheeler.
I see, yes.
At work.
Yeah, he's talking about falling, yes. And he's telling me... Oh, this is kind of embarrassing. You might not know this because it's embarrassing. He says he's with the man who had the colon problem. So he's on the side with either Dad or Grandpa or, bless you, someone like that. The man who had the colon problems.
I'm not sure.
I do feel like this is grandfather on his side, on his dad's side, I feel.
Okay. Yeah, he's gone.
And he's showing me, who has the brown and black dog here? I'm not sure if it's a German Shepherd or I don't know what it is, brown and black.
Now?
Oh, I don't know now.
Okay.
That I don't know. He's just showing me a dog. Kind of looks like a German Shepherd.
Because we used to have a German Shepherd.
All right. And is he on the other side as well, the dog?
Yes. Yes.
Well, guess who's with guess who's with your husband? And did you happen to have to fix the kitchen sink?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's talking to me about your kitchen. At first I thought, and the kitchen sink? He says, no. He shows me wrenches. And it's like, you are like so totally out of your element.
Yeah,
but you did it. He's very proud of you for fixing the kitchen sink.
Yay.
And he's saying to me that he's thinking about moving.
Just moved.
Just moved.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good thing for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. This is a very good thing for you. He says,
So, there we go. I've listened to all of that demonstration of mediumship, the unedited version, and it was quite long, so I had to pick out something in the time I had, and it gets a lot better than that with this medium. She's an excellent medium. I think she's Canadian. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But and this is one of the things, Linda, that you talk about why we don't do readings on the show. One of the reasons is obviously the format's totally different. But when you go to what they call the gallery reading, or we'd say an evening of clairvoyance, or divine, what do I call it? A divine service.
We call it platforming here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are going to get personal stuff that comes out, and I think if you go to that kind of thing like a spiritualist church, a good medium will say what they have to say without really getting into the big deep detail. But this is what can happen when you do these gallery readings or platform readings.
That's right. See, I prefer to go into those deep bits, Mike.
Right.
Because, how can you get personal so then they get the confirmation?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I like doing my readings in private.
Yeah.
And then also you can also then ascertain whether the person is basically psychologically prepared for the information that you could give them.
Yeah.
Because they could break down, they could have a heart attack. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, some people get very traumatized and they could end up in a medical emergency, which is what we have to be prepared for when we do readings. So we don't know what the outcome is going to be. That's one reason why I don't do very many past life regressions, because ultimately that person who lived previously had to die at some point for it to be a past life.
Yeah.
So it can be very traumatic reliving that death in a past life.
Yeah.
So, I only do them. I don't ever do them over Skype, Zoom, or on YouTube, because I want to be with that person so I could guide them just in case something did go wrong with them, But she's amazing, I loved her, the way she spoke, she paused appropriately, she got relevant information to let them know that it was them, because a lot of times we do get information that person just doesn't know about, so you're saying, he's saying that you may not know this, but he's telling me this, because then, they go home and they ring up their parents or their brother or something and say, oh, this medium today was saying this, and the brother knew all about it.
Yeah.
And then it clicks, that synchronicity.
That's right,
that the sister was meant to ring the brother to find it out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of synchronicities that do happen with readings, yes. Yeah. But again, Mike, you find amazing information. The videos that you find are gorgeous for us, So, I'll leave it at that.
We'll wrap it up there today, pretty much on time. We started on time, we didn't finish on time, but there you are.
I can talk under wet cement, so sorry. If I hadn't spoken about Bon Jovi, because now I've got a visual, but hello, let me just do a little parting little spiel. It's good to remember good things in our lives, guys, because that's our happy thoughts.
Yeah.
Think about your happy thoughts every time you get told you can't do this, you can't do that. Think about your happy thought. Be Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And look what happened to him when he acquired those happy thoughts. It gave him superpowers. He could fly. And if you look at the spiritual meaning of flying, it means freedom to do what we want.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
From Australia, and Happy New Year to anyone that's a couple of months behind us, because I feel like time is crazy at this point.
Yeah.
But anywhere on the planet where you are, happy birthday to anyone who's had one.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day to anyone who didn't get heard the words.
Happy everything to everyone.
Happy everything, because that's what I spread. Love always. So stay in your love, guys.
Yeah.
You know, look around and appreciate everything you own, and stay safe until next week.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.